Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll look at 8 things that are recommended to be done after we install Linux Mint. Now I'll go straight to the demonstration on the things that we need to do after we install Linux Mint. The first thing is to do with upgrading or updating your system or the package list. Now we can do this using the terminal, or you can use the GUI. Let me go to the menu here, and then you just open the update manager. Then once it's done loading, you want to click on refresh, and this should update all the applications or packages that can be updated. So depending on when was the last time you did the update, you might have a long list or just a short list of packages. Okay, so in my case I only have 2. To update, you just click on install updates. Now, so you need to provide your password here. It's going to install the packages. Once this is done, we can look at the terminal on how we can do the update. So it's done here. So that was pretty quick. I'm going to open the terminal and let's look at the commands you can run. There's just 2 commands we can run here. You can do sudo update and this tells me that all my packages are up to date because I used the GUI. Otherwise, it would have shown you the list of packages you can upgrade. Now to do the upgrade, the command is sudo upgrade. So in my case, there's nothing to upgrade, zero upgraded. Moving on. So the reason why you want to do the updates or the upgrades is because you want to apply any security patches that are out there, any bug fixes, and then it's recommended to do these updates before you make any changes to your system. So this can also improve your hardware compatibility on the system. So let's move on to the next thing you might want to do. Now this is going to be something to do with doing backups or taking snapshots, and the tool to do that is Timeshift. We'll open Timeshift from here. Go to the menu and type in Timeshift. Again, put in your password. So if it's the first time you're running Timeshift, you might not have any snapshots. You'll have to go through the wizard. So if you click on wizard here, you have these 2 options. So it's recommended to go with the async. So select async, click next. Then you have to select the location where you want to save your snapshots. Click next, and then here you just select your snapshot levels. You have the how frequent you can take the snapshots: hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, and then how many you want to keep. So you can increase or decrease the number depending on what you want. Okay, click next. Here it's giving you an option to include your user home directory. So just select this option if you want to include it. And then click finish. You can click next here and then finish. Okay, once you have that set up, you can create a snapshot. You just click on create, and then you'll go through the process. I'm not going to create one right now. I'm going to cancel. And then you can look at the different options we have here. So this is the option to restore a snapshot. You select it, click restore. You can click the snapshot, click delete to delete it. Okay, here you can just browse to see where you have your snapshots located. And this is the settings. You're just gonna go back to what you set up. You can make changes here. Schedule, location, users, and stuff like that. Okay, again, and this is the wizard. So that's all for the backups or snapshot. So you can always take a snapshot before you make major changes to your system, just in case you have to recover and go back to what the system was, the state of the system before the changes. So this is kind of similar to Windows System Restore option. Next, we'll look at the drivers, how we can install drivers. We'll use the driver manager, so go to the menu again and just type driver. You'll see the driver manager. What it's going to do is going to look for any drivers that are recommended to be installed. So it's just going to scan. So in my case, you didn't find any. So if it finds any, you can go ahead and install those drivers. So the drivers could be for stuff like Wi-Fi and NVIDIA graphics and stuff like that based on what you're running on your system. Next, we'll look at the firewall. Now with the firewall, we can configure the firewall using the GUI, or we can use the terminal. On the GUI, I can search for firewall here. So with the firewall configuration, we'll see what options we have. So this is the firewall configuration. By default, it's probably going to be turned off, and it's recommended to have it turned on. So in mine, it's turned on. And then you want to have it set to deny all incoming traffic, and then allow all outgoing. Once you have this set up, now you have to specify specific rules for any applications or services that you need access to, that you need to access on this system remotely. For instance, SSH. As you can see, I added a rule here. Without this rule, I cannot access this system remotely using SSH. So I'm gonna demo this real quick. I'm gonna open the terminal and just find out the IP address. So this is the IP. I'm just gonna try and connect to this machine from another machine, and I'll be using SSH. So I'll say SSH. The username is Eno, and then I'll type in the IP here, 192.168.1.115. So this is the IP right here, and I should be able to get in. Okay, this is the connection. Now, like I said, if I didn't have that rule, I shouldn't be able to connect to this machine. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the rule. And now I'm gonna go back to here and repeat the command to connect, and you will see that I'm not able to connect, and it doesn't even give you any error messages. The firewall is blocking the connection. That's why we cannot connect. So once you enable your firewall, you'll need to go in here and create rules. So you click on the plus sign, and for me, I just use the simple option. Just name it SSH connections. Allow in both TCP and UDP if you want, or just TCP, and port is 22, add, close, and there I have it. And now if I go back here, I'm just gonna X this and try again, and now I'm able to connect. It's just asking for the password, which I wasn't getting before. Okay, next we'll look at the terminal and see how we can check the status of the file. So this is also called the UFW firewall. You can use, let me clear this. You can say sudo apt install UFW if it's not installed, but it should be installed by default. So it's already installed. Now I'll check the status. I'll do sudo UFW status. Let's just add verbose here. So it's showing you the rules here. Okay, it's active, and you have the default deny all incoming, allow all outgoing. Okay. You can also use it to set the rules. You can say sudo UFW default deny incoming, and then you can also say default allow outgoing. Say outgoing. You can also allow specific protocols or services. Allow SSH, for instance, which is already allowed. So that's just to protect your system from unwanted connections. Next, we'll look at how to install codecs. Now, in this case, we'll be using the terminal. So the recommended one to install is the Mint Meta codecs. To install it, you just do sudo apt install Mint Meta codecs. Okay, should already have it installed. So this is just gonna allow your system to play media files properly, or to enable your system to handle media files. This could be for streaming, video playback, MP3 support, and so on. Okay, next we'll look at how to set up Flathub. Now this is for expanding the available software. With this we can get software like Spotify, Discord, OBS Studio, and so on. And with this one we'll be using the terminal as well. So these are the commands you'll need to run. You can run sudo apt install flatpak, which should be installed by default also. And then we'll use Flatpak to to install the repos. So we'll need to get the Flathub repositories, and so we'll need to get the Flathub repository. The command to do it is a little long. Let's go ahead and type it in. It's gonna be Flatpak remote add -, if not exist. Let's expand the window. I expand this window here, and then Flathub https://flathub.org repo Flathub Flatpak repo. Okay, so Flatpak remote add -, if not exists, Flathub https://flathub.org repo Flathub.flatpak repo. So let's press enter, and if you don't have any typos, you're not gonna get any responses, so that's good. Okay, so this is gonna allow us to have access to many applications. Now, like I said, an example will be Spotify, and to install it using Flatpak, you run the command Flatpak install Flatpak install Flathub, and then you say com.spotify.client. So you have to use uppercase C here. Okay. And it's already installed. Now I can show you. You can go to the menu here and search for Spotify, and there it is. Okay, and you can play your music here. The last thing I wanted to show is for optimizing your battery. So this is more important for those that are running Mint on laptops. So you need to run this tool or install this tool to help you manage your battery live. Let's look at the command. So it's going to be sudo apt install TLP. So that's the tool you need to install. I already have it installed. Okay, so you need to enable it. You need to run sudo systemctl enable TLP, and then we need to start the services. Start TLP. Okay, and then you can check the status of it. You can use sudo TLP -start -s, and that should show you the status of it. Okay, so that's it. So that's all for this video. Those are some of the configuration settings and tools you might need to install on your Linux Mint after you've installed it on your system. So I hope this information has been helpful. I'll catch you on my next video. Thanks. Bye.